Hey guys, Boomfish TCG here, back at it again with another video. This time we're going to be covering Machina Haven. Pretty much in the Japanese representation, you have Abyss at the top, and surprisingly, for the first time in a while, we have Haven right underneath it. Haven boys on top. It is a very interesting deck. It's a mix of it's supposed to be an aggro list, really. You're vomiting guys onto the field, and you're taking advantage of your very powerful card effects and synergies with repair mode, like the repair tokens in the EX. And off of that, you're able to get some early tempo plays, some big swarming, some early buffing, and sometimes board clears out of that. And all of that is great. But it gets a bit awkward sometimes, and the list that you're staring at right now, even if you've played this deck before yourself or you've seen your friends, this might seem a little bit off. This is my attempt to show you the ideas that I've been trying to brainstorm, along with the Machina Haven players at our locals trying to brainstorm at the same time. You might see some options here that you're not happy with, but I want to basically project to you the ideas that are going on in my head, trying to be as creative for the upcoming major. Not now, not set 17, 18, but basically content leaning towards preparing for the Summerfest at the end of August. It's a very important event for me and my friends because it's local, right? We're Ottawa based. It's going to be in Toronto. Very nice. And with all that coming to a head, we're going to get right into it. I'm going to show you, starting off, a conditional 1-drop. You might say, no, Boomfish, this thing costs 4. It does. But if you're paying full price for this, you're already losing the game. So it's a 4-mana 3/3 ward, undervalue, right? That's not very good. But basically what you're going to do most of the time is you are going to pay the bottom effect first. When you pay 1, put this from hand into EX, look at the top card of your deck. If it's a Machina, grab it. That's quite nice. And then when you look a little bit higher on the card, you can summon this from the EX engaged. It's a ward card, who cares? And only activate this if you have 5 Machina cards in your EX. Well, folks. My goodness. That's the whole point of the deck. And for 0? It's a 1-mana 3/3? Yeah, I'd take that. It's pretty good. Sometimes it gets a bit awkward, right? Because you have the synergies of where you want to have 5 at access at any time for the magical augmentation. Or you have it for this, where you have 4, you put this from hand into EX, resolve its effect, and hopefully you have that additional way of getting that token on access for you when you need it. But in terms of the very slight amount of consistency this adds for the deck, it's nice. It essentially just cycles itself out in order to summon it. And I guess it would be nice if it didn't automatically come engaged. But I guess that's the cost of it. Some sort of balancing they were able to put into it. But yeah, it's pretty nice. Good card. We have the Change-Wing Cherub. This isn't the choice for every Machina version, and it's not even the choice for most Natura variants. It just depends, because this one does not summon the android, the assembly droid. It only gives you a repair mode, and then it also gives you an Echerian Great Tree if that was your choice. In this deck, you're going to be getting the repair mode, and for most options, this is going to be a slightly worse version of the other repair mode generating cards that you have access to. But that's not really a problem. Still fine. And in the choice thing where either you're in the mirror match or you need the removal against Machina Abyss, being able to ping something for 2 is quite nice. And you're going to have the numbers for this. Your entire deck's Machina. What are we talking about here, folks? You're going to have that. Just depends on how early. And it kind of sucks to summon it off of any of the other effects. So that's why we're only playing 2 of it. You do not want to see this card late game. It's going to really ruin your day. We then have Machina, or Mecha Gun Wielder, as I talked about in the Machina Abyss deck profile. Yeah, all the variants play it. Would we be happier in this variant because it's a lot more aggro leaning if this had aggressive stats on it? Yeah, but I think if this is a 1 mana 2/1, it would be absolutely ridiculous. So I guess I'm kind of glad that that's not the case. But it's hard to justify what you do with the first one. In most scenarios, you would feel comfortable finding that repair mode and setting up your plays, right? That's kind of what it's there for. But I think it's also to recognize if there are any matchups where you need that assembly droid. My best case scenario, we kind of had an infestation of these guys that are locals, is the elephant deck, elephant control or hunter. There are different variants like Hunter Sekka that can lean into that, or you just be up against the elephant control deck. I think that deck might actually have a decent spot this format. Because if they did not get an assembly droid off their first Mecha Gun wielder, there's a very decent chance that they might just straight up, I don't know, lose the game. Their attack reduction effects really kind of leave you stuck on what you are trying to do. It limits your damage pushes, limits your ability to swarm the field comfortably, because if they leave you with a whole board of 0 attack creatures, never give you anything to swing into, and you have no way of removing them, aka assembly droids, you will lose that matchup. So, is it really hard to know that you're up against that deck from frame 1? Yes. If you have a forest player in front of you, good luck planning around that, I guess. When you're at a major tournament, that's the kind of guesstimation you're going to have to make. And all I'm saying is the minute you do recognize you're up against a deck like that, make sure you have at least one assembly droid and a spot open on your board to prepare you for that eventuality. Because the minute you start having 4 0 attack creatures and no assembly droids, you pretty much lose the matchup. There isn't anything you can commit to the board. You don't have beefy guys. You don't have board buffs that will generally create your end game of having I don't know, everything getting +2/+2. This isn't Mock and Rune, folks. You might get +1/+1 at most. So it's a vulnerability. And yeah. Moving on, we have the Technomancer. Again, you kind of wish this card had different stats, but I guess because of the board buffing this deck can do and the fact that this draws a card, I guess it does have to be a 1/1. So 1 mana 1/1, create a repair mode. If you have 3, draw a card. Alright, not much to say here. It's just a fine 1-drop. It is new, but it's okay. We also have Saintly Core. So look at the top 2 cards of your deck. If you see a Machina card from among them, put it in your hand, put the rest on the bottom. You can bury this if you control 2, and you get a repair mode out of it. As you will see for the deck list that we cover on this channel, none of the other Machina variants run their cores. No Sagacious, no, I don't know, whatever the Rune one is, or the Abyss one. I'm not sure. But Rune and Abyss do not run theirs. You do, however, in this deck, simply because you need that repair mode. And it's quite nice being able to get a card for free, and then also get the repair mode when you need it, right? You're not forced to doing this at any point. If you're trying to make board space and you already have 5, I guess that's when you need it. But it's nice and flexible. You don't want to see 3, I guess, because you eventually want board tempo out of your deck. But yeah, it's pretty good. So moving on to the 2-drops, as you can see, the majority of the deck is 2-drop. And it's that way for a reason. There's plenty of synergies to take advantage of. I'm going to start off with the 2 controversial cards in here. And I want you to visualize, in place of these, if you do not like these cards, you can easily put in the new 2 mana 2/3, that when it comes in by ability, you ping the opponent's board for the amount of Machina cards you control. Right? That's nice. I wanted the idea of being able to potentially get more value than that. So this is a 2 mana 2/2. Now on entry, it creates a repair mode, and then if you have 3 in your EX, like the Technomancer, you draw a card. A little bit of extra value. A lot of what this deck does is it takes advantage of cards saying when this card is brought onto the field by an ability, do X, right? And if you cannot do that, your cards are just kind of bad. You're an aggro deck that loses card advantage very quickly. Board advantage. Your setup. You have to rebuild it afterwards. And if you're low in cards in hand, the simple answer is you can't do that. Robo Wing Purse pre-chant is just fine. It's, in my head, a chance at trying to preserve your hand advantage while you're generating the tokens that you need in order for you to combo off. And I like it. Am I totally sold on this card? No. But I kind of want to be. Because eventually you're going to need to cycle down and get your other cards. So that's why it's here. If you play repair mode, you get Bane. Nice. You're an aggro deck. Sometimes being able to trade up is really nice in order to get the rest of your plays through. So at least keep it in mind. You know, I wanted to present it. The other card that is not a Machina card, we have one non-Machina card in here because I really wanted to show off this card. Me and my friends at Locals, the Machina Haven players among us, have been talking, mainly because I brought it up, on the potential, hear me out, of playing a one Tartman, or this card. Why? Because this deck focuses so heavily around being able to abuse with Salvation Exclamonia or Augmentation Bestowal. Both of Tartman and this Marcotte allow you to be able to search out your deck. This one conditionally, Tartman whenever. This one's a 2-mana, Tartman's a 4/4, like a 4-mana 4/4. Is the question I want to present to you, and what I would love to hear your answer of, is this the kind of aggro deck that requires the consistency of its powerful pieces to the point where it doesn't care about losing tempo for one turn guaranteed? The one turn that you can search out your important card. Let's say allowing you to do your powerful play for multiple turns guaranteed in a row. This is flexible. Tartman is flexible. You're able to get what you want. And if the answer is yes, please test this. Please, please, please. Just for like once or twice. I'm going to do it myself. If the answer becomes yes, then this is monumental. Very beneficial for you. If the answer is no, throw it in the trash, right? I was wrong. But it's just on the edge of doing that for you. This card says, if you have 5 in your EX, which is the entire point of your deck, search your deck for any card. If you are going second, what you can do in order to make that happen, again, just make this happen, okay? You have, let's say, any of the 1-drops. Let's say Mecha Gun Wielder. Turn 2, with your Evo point, you play Hoverboard. Now you have 3 in your EX. Turn 3, you play Robo Falcon, not using an Evo point, or if you do, right, you have 1 mana to play with, who cares? This will get you 5 in EX. Turn 4 happens. Boom. Play Marcotte. Search out your Augmentation Bestowal. Play this for 2, right? You're still doing this on turn 4. You get your Vice Grip. That's not bad. If I'm crazy, tell me, okay? But in a pinch where you don't already have access to that card, it's not bad. Keep it in mind. We're going to go on. Keep it in mind, please. And also, the other crazy thing was a single copy of 3 Caution. Being able to summon out like Rolas as any of the aggro Haven players playing, or being able to activate this. Because the least favorite part I have about this deck is being stuck on those cards that only activate based on ability, and you having 0 ways to do so. Because that means you're basically playing bad cards. And I don't like that. But yeah, moving on. Iron Knuckle Nun. I'm a huge fan of this card. We were casually chatting about if this was even worth being in it. I think the 2-mana 2/3 ward is already good enough, but the fact that it generates 2 is where you want to be, right? And you want multiple ways of generating, like more than one repair mode on a single turn, or when this dies, obviously that's going to be on your opponent's turn, but who cares? So yeah, it's a good card. 2 is pretty much where you want to be. It's already hard enough for me to justify these techs because the card that was in place of these 2 just so happened to be a 2-mana 2/3 at a ratio of 2. So everything else is pretty much the fixed ratio. We have Hoverboard Mercenary. Is a good card. It's almost on the edge of me saying it would be beneficial in playing 2, but I'm brave enough to justify silly cards like this. I'm not sure about 2 of this. Maybe it is. Maybe that's the reason. You know, maybe this is what you should do, but I'm not sure. And when you evo it, naturally, we're going to cover this multiple times on the channel, but you summon an assembly droid, put a repair mode in your EX. Pretty nice, pretty nice. You have Robo Falcon, so it's a 2-mana 1/3 storm, strike, put a repair mode in your EX, and then if there's 3, so if you put, it then checks if you have 3, and then it gains the attack. Important, considering how often this is going to come up in the deck. So this is a 2-mana 1/3, which would be a 2/3 when that goes through. When you evo it, again, if the strike goes through, that is a 2-mana 3/4. That is an incredible stat line, especially for an evo, which is pretty good. For the longest time, it didn't define the deck, right? Like, you needed it to happen, but the fact that it starts out at such a pathetic amount of attack, if you're playing this going first and expecting it to stick around, yeah, it's a pretty tall task. And it's only going to have 1 attack, so it's going to feel really bad. But when it has that attack buff, it feels really good. So yeah, easy 3 of because you just need it. It's a way to generate 2 tokens. Robo Whip Reverend is part of the flashy plays this deck gets to abuse. And you're perfectly justified in being like, yeah, this is a good card. But this is one of the ones that I was mentioning that only really gets benefit if it's brought in by an ability. You are not playing Lunarian Paladin. You are not playing 3-cost Jean because you want to fill your deck up with Machina names. You don't want to whiff on some of your more important effects. Yeah, it's good when you get that off. If you don't, it's not. So, yeah, tough to say. It's a good card. The buff really, really helps your later turns when you can bring it off of, let's say, Salvation or off the Vice Grip. That's the flashy thing. There's plenty of other cards that allow you to summon stuff back from the grave, but yeah, it's a nice card. And then naturally, the lady of the hour. Nothing else to say. Rolla is just abusable. At home, she is in this deck. It is not paired with the powerful cards that you would usually have associated with it. This deck being ridiculous, but it is still very strong. Rolla being able to automatically evo when you bring it off Vice Grip. It gets you the repair mode, so it helps you refresh after your big play. And then being able to choose to give it Storm, or in this case, genuinely pinging something for a decent amount of damage is not bad at all. You could have a full board and this thing does 5 damage to something. That's not bad. But getting it Storm is usually what you're going to benefit off of. So yeah, this is a good card. There's a reason why when I go over to Augmentation Bestowal, she's right there, bro. Very, very cool. Also, nice art. If you have these, kudos. You know, you're a lucky man in this format. So this is a 2-mana spell that at the very beginning of Machina Haven, it was pretty much considered to be bad. Too high of a cost in order for you to be able to play something from the deck. Because for the longest time, you didn't have anything good you could bring out. You didn't have Rolla. You didn't have like a Reverend to abuse. Your best targets were pretty much paying 2 Sacking 2 to summon out a Robo Falcon, not good. The neutral 3-drop that they used to run, not good, really. Or a Lamonia, which is not really... there's not a whole lot of purpose to doing that. Technically, you're going to be discounting her by 1, but you're going to have to pay for it in the lack of repair modes that you have. So you're basically paying for it on rate, which is fine, but they just needed to play different cards. But now there's a reason. No longer are we banishing 5 cards named Repair Mode from our EX to summon out a Techno Lord, which was disgustingly bad. But now we are instead summoning out a Vice Grip, which is very good, or Gullius, which is also pretty darn good. Not the greatest, but pretty darn good. Not bad. So yeah, now this is a 3 of. Previously, it was just a 0 of, because it didn't have the purpose yet. We have that now, so please abuse it. Then we also have Salvation X Lamonia. Quite the fun card, I must say. Really, really cool. So 2 mana, select an Machina follower that costs 3 or less in your cemetery, summon it, and if it's Lamonia, you get a repair mode in your EX. This can help you for your turn 4 bursts. Sometimes against the deck, and this really comes up to be a matchup thing, so please test this before you do any of the reckless behavior that I'm suggesting. But on turn 4, if initially you were able to discard Lamonia off the Mecha Gunwielder, you are able to pay 2, summon back Lamonia, and then use her effect to reduce her Evo if you have a full EX area, which at this point you probably should, in order to Evo blow up their board as an early aggressive play, and then being able to bring back whatever, pretty much whatever. You don't actually care what you bring back here. Now, if you were the greatest player on Earth and you're bringing back a Rolla, yeah, that's pretty nice. But you're doing literally anything that's going to generate you tokens, and that's a really good start for you. Because depending on the deck, they might need that board setup in order to even deal with something that has the stats of Rolla, which we're going to cover now because we've kind of run out of other options in the deck. So when she Evos, for as expensive as it is you're banishing an entire EX area worth of repair modes, which would be 5. You reduce her Evo down to 2 because it starts out at 7. So you pay 3 to play it normally, or 2 to cheat it out off of the other spells. And then we're going to reduce it by banishing 5 total. So it costs 2 to Evo. You do that. You're going to blow up all enemy followers. Pretty good start. And then for 0, you can bring back a Machina follower that costs 2 or less from the cemetery. Activate only once per turn. If Lamonia, like a Baphomet, like Evoed Mono, lives a turn, game could very well be over. Is 5/4 the easiest thing to clear? It's not that hard. But some decks might struggle. And if you can catch someone tripping, you could just get a free win. And it's also not the biggest cost in the world, right? You are sacrificing all your repair modes, but off of being able to bring something back, like let's say you're bringing back, I don't know, like an Iron Knuckle Nun, you're already recovering 2 of your repair modes at that point. This is a turn 4 play. You could very well follow it up with like a raw played Vice Death Grip, which could very well fill up your EX again, because a lot of your effects just do that. It's a really cool interaction, being able to play it, or a lot of the times cheating it out from the graveyard with Salvation X Lamonia is a very cool and powerful interaction I highly encourage for you to abuse. So keep an eye out for that. The Man of the Hour. The card that definitely should have been legendary, but for some reason they gave it to that other garbage card in the set. Each other Machina follower on your side of the field has Rush. Cool. It costs 5, it's a 3/3. What else does it do? Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. From among them, you reveal up to 2 Machina followers that not named Vice Death Grip. It really sucks that it doesn't say Machina card, but whatever. We're still happy with it regardless. Put the rest of them on the bottom in any order, and then you get to summon 2 Machina followers that cost 2 or less from your hand. Wow. That's pretty good. So thinking about that, again, I've been dancing around all the cards because there's a lot of interactions in this deck. But the real romantic idea you'd have is Robo Whip and Rolla. You would also have access to the other card that I ended up cutting, again, for these 2 cards. But I just don't know the worth of it. But yes, you can do that as well. It's a ridiculous card. Considering most of the time you aren't paying for its actual cost, you're paying 2 mana for him, this card becomes like insane and hard for your opponent to keep up with. Again, this deck doesn't have the craziest stats. He's not a 4/4, but just simply having presence on your board forces your opponent to answer it, and playing an aggro deck, forcing your opponent to have the answer to your question more times than not will be beneficial and can really make people stumble. So yeah, he's a new power point of the deck. And an easy 3-of. Then we also have Gullius, Silver Beast Lord. He's a 6 mana 3/4. Horrible stats! Terrible stats! But he gets to bring a guy from the grave that costs 2 or less and summon it. Well, as we covered before, bringing stuff back off abilities is very strong. And then also being able to banish 2 repair modes in order to give this Storm. Okay, you might have sold me. If you Evo for 1, he also has the effect to either deal 5 damage to something or buff the board. So if you're comboing this with Robo Whip Reverend, you've brought this out from the deck off of the augmentation, so you only paid 2 for it. Evoed it in the same turn. That's not bad. You're giving your board +2/+2. Chances are you might be able to hit with the Gullius, I'm not sure. And yeah, it's really strong. Some people at my locals have suggested that they wanted to play 2 of it. That might be too much. I'm not sold on that idea, but I've already tried to sell you on other crazy stuff this video, so feel free. Feel free to get a little bit wild. That covers the deck. Machina Haven is a very good deck. I don't know if I would say that it is dominant. I wouldn't say that it is overpowered or on the same tier as Machina Abyss. I feel like it's a very strong option this format, and it continues to be a good deck, but it did not have the representation. And honestly, if you look at the Google Doc, as posted below this video, it also didn't win nearly as much as the other stuff. Like, it topped a lot of smaller tournaments, but nothing nearly as much as the other decks for large tournaments, especially Machina Abyss. So with that, I feel comfortable saying that this is a 4 out of 5. So that's 4 Boomfish out of 5. Not in the fact that I don't think it's really strong. But if I were to put this on a tier list for this format, I'd say this is probably at the top of tier 2, not tier 1. I don't think Machina Abyss is like S tier or anything. I think it's like a solid top of tier 1. And considering that I place this at the top of tier 2, 4 out of 5 seems fine. If you for some reason feel different, I understand where you're coming from, because it's going to have results this format. It's strong. But I've definitely seen the shortcomings of it. It doesn't have the crazy consistency of Machina Abyss with like the different ways of grabbing cards from grave or deck. It's simply just strong. And with that, thank you for tuning in for the video. Keep your eyes open for the rest of the format. And peace. Thank you.